The Man Who Planted Stars, a desert tale of quiet resilience. In the heart of a golden desert, where even silence is a sound, lived a man who spent his nights planting stars, not in the sky, but in the sand. He walked alone, carrying only broken glass, and something unbreakable inside. They called him Zamir, a quiet man with sunburned skin, faded eyes, and footsteps too soft for the world to hear. He lived on the edge of the old desert, where the dunes swallowed whole villages and time forgot names. Every evening, just after sunset, Zamir walked barefoot across the sand, carrying a leather pouch filled with glimmering glass shards. He placed them gently in the earth, one by one, forming long, winding trails of reflected light. When people asked why, he would simply say, "For the ones still trying to find their way back." It began with whispers, dry wind across the dunes, and then came the firestorm, a rare and violent collision of wind, sand, and searing heat. A great desert blaze swept the land, fierce winds, burning heat, and smoke that turned the sky to ash. Wells dried up, crops failed. The village cried out for rain, for relief, for anything. Zamir's family, his parents, his younger brother, even the old woman who raised him, were trapped with little food or water. So he did what he could. He set off across the dunes alone, searching for help. 2 days under a punishing sun, lips cracked, vision fading. He nearly didn't make it, but just before the edge of death, someone found him, a stranger, a quiet nomad wrapped in white, with sand-shore steps. They gave him water, carried him on their camel for miles, led him to a hidden oasis where travelers never go, then vanished, before Zamir could even ask their name. As soon as he had strength, he gathered what supplies he could and raced back home. But when he reached the village, there was nothing. The homes were gone. Silence covered the ground. No voices, no bodies, and no signs of life. Only ash, scattered ruins, and the echo of what once was. He searched for days, calling his parents' names, digging, hoping, nothing. One traveler placed a hand on his shoulder and whispered, "No one survived, brother. You must let go." And something in Zamir shattered. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. Zamir said nothing. He only looked up at the sky that had once held his prayers and began to walk into the desert. Zamir wandered without direction, barely eating, barely breathing. On the third night, he sat beneath a black sky, no one around, just darkness. And he whispered, "If I live, I will spend the rest of my life lighting the way for others, because no one should feel this loss alone." That night, he took a shard of broken glass from the wreckage and placed it in the sand. Then another, and another. By dawn, a trail shimmered faintly behind him. It became his purpose, his way of healing, his quiet offering to the world. Weeks passed, then months. Zamir no longer spoke of the past. He simply walked, planted, walked. But then one day, a trader brought news. A handful of villagers had survived the storm, rescued by nomads and taken far across the dunes to rebuild. Zamir's breath caught. Names were mentioned, familiar ones. His parents, his younger brother, alive. He collapsed to his knees, not from grief, but from release. Tears came, the first since the fire. He didn't run to find them. Instead, that very night, he walked into the desert with new glass and began planting again. One curious boy once asked, "Why didn't you stop after they were found?" Zamir smiled, "Because I made the promise when I was still lost. That's when promises matter most." He paused, looking at the trail behind him, shimmering in the moonlight like a river of stars. True resilience isn't loud. It's quiet and consistent, like breath, like hope. You plant life for others, even when your own hands are shaking. They say Zamir still walks the desert, still barefoot, still carrying broken glass, still planting stars in the sand, not for attention, but for direction. And somewhere far away, his family waits in a rebuilt village, knowing that the man they love is out there, guiding strangers home with silent strength. Some wounds don't disappear. They just stop bleeding when we stop picking them. Healing isn't always loud and just moving on. Sometimes it's walking forward with shattered pieces, turning them into something that helps someone else find the path, and lighting the way for someone else, even with your own hands still shaking. Because real strength isn't about forgetting. It's about transforming pain without passing it on. If this story reminded you of a silent strength you carry, like it, share it with someone quietly healing and walking through their own dark desert. And remember, even broken glass can guide in the hands of someone who has made peace with the dark. Subscribe for more soulful, timeless tales. See you in the next story.